think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
James, you asked a funny question a few days ago. You asked about, or maybe it was even yesterday, because time has no meaning to me anymore. Firestarter versus Breathe. Why'd you ask about that?
No, I didn't ask about it. I said Breathe was better.
Oh, you said that.
Yeah.
No, in our chat you wrote that?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
you're
is.
a Breathe man. Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. Why? Because I listened to them.
Are you a
I think
Firestarter guy?
I think I'm a Firestarter guy, but like I can see how someone could be a Breathe guy.
No, it's Breathe.
I think Firestarter was bigger or even sort of kept pace with Breathe because it was the music video was fucking shocking. I
don't remember the music video.
Treat yourself later.
Okay, all right.
It's something else. That was like that was fucking unseen madness. But I don't know. I think the Breathe was more of in the, I think that was the oh god, man, somebody's gonna roll over in their grave here that
sure, man,
that experienced the rave culture or whatever. But I feel like it brought that wave of like maybe more popularized. I don't know what I'm thinking of here. Dust Brothers, Chemical Brothers, sort of, Blade soundtrack type of sound.
Yeah, no, I had that same thought.
Yeah, but it mainstreamed very weakly and niche, like that music is still sort of like in the catacombs. Like it never broke into mainstream. That was the way it broke into mainstream, and it was like for a couple of years.
Yeah, culminating in probably The Matrix, and I think, like, honestly, I don't know, but like that I don't even know how to describe it, but there's a grinding bass to it. It did fill the room when I put it on. I was like, wow, okay, all right. And I'm sure lots of bands were doing this at the time, but I just remember that sort of percussion background, if not new, definitely like. You're right. Yeah, it became popularized.
Yeah. Well, did you guys both have that Prodigy album?
No, I didn't have it. I know James did.
I had a copy of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did, right?
I probably did.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but I also don't remember. So maybe I am lying.
This is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
No, I was into that sound at the time. Like I probably owned it. But I don't remember. It does seem like something I would have had at the time. I don't think I liked it as much. Like it was Fat of the Land, right? Was it?
Yeah,
was that the big album? Or I feel there was something before that, wasn't there?
No.
Or was it? What came after that? That sucked.
Well,
Whatever came after that sucked.
I think my question that I was getting might bridge into this. Where does Smack My Bitch Up rate these days?
Oh, that's from the next one. Yeah, shit.
Was that after?
I think it was the single after. I'm pretty sure that was. Like,
I feel I think that's where I fell off. I was like, okay, Smack My Bitch Up. You know what? I'll have to listen to it again. It's probably still pops. It's probably fine. It's a little problematic, but no more than more than rap music is.
Listen to this little ditty here. Dig Your Own Hole by the Chemical Brothers. OK Computer, and then the Prodigy music for the Jilted Generation were also searched in with the Fat of the Land album. For whatever reason, OK Computer gets put in that bucket.
Are you talking about like a Google search?
Yeah, just on Google. Like they're like, if you're looking for Fat of the Land, you're also looking for OK Computer because everything sucked my bag at that time.
Yeah. I think music for a Jilted Generation. I think that's the one I liked more.
That's like older, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the one before that. But fuck, I don't know. I hadn't thought about this band in a million years until you like raised the question, and then I was like, what one do I like more? So Firestarter is repetitive, right? I think Breathe had a better lyrics, but I think Firestarter was harder, but its repetitiveness was fucking annoying, and I probably wouldn't want to listen to it a second time. Which is maybe I'm a Breathe person as a consequence, but I don't think. You know what ended up happening is me saying to myself, like, because I sat here in the battle shed and I listened to both songs and I thought about how I felt and I was like, both of these songs give me a fucking headache. And I think that's fair. Where that's where I landed on it. But I could be persuaded that Breathe is the better song.
It's better. You should have been dancing.
Maybe that would have helped.
Yeah, on E.
Is that what you guys were doing?
No. No.
You guys
know what I was doing. I think I was just getting drunk in my basement, listening to
awesome
the fucking album over and over again alone.
No one does that reverse mohawk thing anymore either from the Breathe video, like where he's like just shaved a stripe down the middle of his head and like it's like fucking weird like hair horns.
Yeah, strangely, the only thing I can think of that even compares to that is that in the Blade 2 movie when Ron Perlman had that mustache that went right around the back of his head.
Oh yeah.
Internet sensation that it is.
Yeah, you know what? See, there's a time frame for all of this stuff. It ended and no one wants to go back.
That's a true statement.
Do you know 90s, do you know what's a fire starter that people don't want to go back to?
I have a good idea.
I was really trying, like, you guys just kept talking. I'm like, you know what?
You're like, you know what? I got this. I got this.
Yeah, and I was like going to transition, like, a minute ago, I was going to transition. Welcome to the Extinction Agenda with James.
And Chris.
And today on the Extinction Agenda, we're talking Ghost Rider. We're doing one of our character studies. Could one of you gentlemen explain to me how we ended up here?
I think it's my fault. That's my fault.
I think it's Chris. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris had something about Ghost Rider came to Chris and he pushed and you delivered it.
Yeah. Why not, man? Ghost Rider.
Because I put up the question, like, first of all, we've never really talked about. We talk about Spider-Man, X-Men. Like, how many episodes have we done of that? And I was like, we've never done the Ghost Rider. There's got to be something to this concept. It's endured. It's a popular character.
At the very least, it's endured. I don't know. Like, I'm never certain what its popularity is. I think it ebbs and flows. In like sometimes it'll hit and then everybody loves it. Like back in the 90s or whatever, that was a huge hit. So to tackle the Ghost Rider, we've watched the Nicolas Cage 1997 Ghost Rider movie. And we've read, what the fuck are these comics? Ghost Rider, Volume 2, number 68 from, this was actually from 1982. But the comic, the first appearance of Ghost Rider was from 10 years earlier, 1972. And then we read Ghost Rider, number 1, so Volume 3, number 1, May 1990. And between those three things, we hope to triangulate on what makes the Ghost Rider tick and why he's so awesome. Because I do think the Ghost Rider is awesome as a like at least as a visual specimen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's easy. True. To answer the question of why the Ghost Rider is cool, you need only look at the picture. And so I guess the question actually is why, what is our evaluation of the story that is attached to that picture?
We've come back to this point for every character study too, I feel, but
I think so.
Like there's more potential still with Ghost Rider. I'm excited to talk about that.
No, I think you're right. I came up with some, like, I don't know if I came up with like angles or whatever, but I was trying to, how do I boil this down? How do I use the pen and stare to get to the heart of it? Where do we want to start?
Well,
go on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Are you guys starting? You want to start with the Unbound or just the Ghost Rider Marvel Tales?
Just the first, issue 68. What's Unbound?
I don't know. Vengeance Unbound. That's the one where he's on the bike. The more 90s one.
Oh, I see that. Okay. Yeah. That's on the cover. I get you.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, we'll start with 68. Let's go back to the whatever the fuck this is.
Yes.
The origin.
Yeah, so this is a retelling of The Origin by Roger Stern, who is editor of this book, or he's an editor. He's writing Spider-Man at the time, and he's an editor. I was reading a little bit how he ended up on the book, but now I can't quite remember. But he's writing this run on Spider-Man, which is very well thought of. I've read it; it's pretty good. And he brings in Bob Budiansky or whatever. I don't know why, but I guess it's fine. And they just want to retell the origin story, and apparently like sales kind of popped after this for a little bit. It became a little more popular, and kind of is one of the reasons that like around this time, the stories that are told in Ghost Rider at this time are the stories that are going to inspire Howard Mackie in the 90s. However, we read the wrong author. We shouldn't have read the Roger Stern ones. We should have read the DeMatteis Ghost Rider. Apparently, that's the stuff that got Howard Mackie out of bed in the morning. So our bad, but this story makes up the kernel of the movie. Like the stuff that happens in this is the basis for the movie, essentially.
This was fun too. I'm glad we picked this one.
Yeah. So I don't know. You bring us forward, sir. What's going on with the Ghost Rider?
I mean, this, like I said, it's the origin. I think there's like just some, even though it's like it's silly, it's so stupid. Like there's some great kind of campy atmosphere to it. It's a little bit ECW or like Crypt Keeper kind of a premise here. Yeah. Some great goth. Like the art is kind of cool. Like especially like this opening. You're in this church, and this priest is walking around by candlelight because there's the sort of like classic thunderstorm. Just the church door opens, and then Johnny Blaze's shadow is just looming in the doorway.
Actually, that reminds me, now that you're saying that, so Bud Budiansky or whatever, he's a fucking tool, but he's important actually to the X-Men cards. He's the guy that oversees, like later on, he just becomes like an administrative guy. But the inker, Joseph Rubinstein, is kind of a classic fella. And now that you're saying all of this, like the use of darks and how everything is brought together, I bet this is more of a Joseph Rubinstein book than we would realize. Anyway, go on.
Okay. So the premise of this one is basically Johnny Blaze shows up at a church. He's like, I was on a bike and the storm surprised me. And the priest's like, come on in, and Johnny Blaze is like, you know what? I'm struck by a sudden urge for a confession. I don't really believe in God, but I just need to unburden myself. So they have the setup of like Blaze behind the divide. The priest is listening to him, and his story just becomes more and more sort of unhinged as it goes. And it's a neat little setup.
Yeah, one of the great color moments in this is when the confession itself. So that night I made a pact with the devil, and where they put the green light across the priest's face, like the black and green. What the fuck? It's like a fucking shock on his face. There's so many like little cool lighting moments like that too throughout. Like even on the next panels when you see him like doing the candle.
Yeah, I would love to see. Well, love is a strong word, but I would like to see this on the original newsprint. Like, I hate this digital coloring that ends up happening in these transfers.
Oh, when they wash out the hard color, like they put the harder color to it on the on the smooth digital transfer. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I've complained about it in the past. It's not going to be the first, or it's not the first time, and it certainly won't be the last time. But it's a shame, because you're right. Like, there's some good effects here. And then when Mephisto shows up, like, what's going on in the background? Like,
oh yeah, I love that. The sort of like almost like TV static of like his presence or something like that. So I thought, like confusion.
Yeah, I'd like to see what that looks like on the page, because it really makes a difference. Like it was going to go on newsprint and it was going to get thrown away, right? Like it was going to end up in a back issue somewhere. They didn't think about reprints back in 1982.
I went down a little wormhole on this page because so this is the page like he's going over he's a stunt performer / occult
Occultist,
enthusiast.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's got his books and stuff. But I noticed like the pentagram he uses is not a pentagram. It's like a circus star, which is really weird to me. He's got a star just painted on his chest. I think that has to be a comics code thing where they just weren't allowed to show occult symbols. But it struck me as very weird for a second.
Yeah, but this is 82. Things are a lot more off the hook at this point. Like, I don't know. I'd be surprised if that. It does look more like Captain America's shield, though, doesn't it? Maybe it's like that.
It's true, and I did feel like they avoided, like they did do religious symbols, but not occult symbols.
Yeah, and it even smears on his chest.
I mean, the devil's good to go apparently, but
yeah, it's fine. Well, he's making it like it's bad, right? As long as like the bad stuff's represented as bad, then.
Yeah, but showing kids how to draw like a pentagram, maybe that's like a line that they don't want to cross.
Yeah, it's of a piece with PCP. Now that I think about it, those Daredevil issues with the PCP that got canceled and then had to be reissued later, that happens in 82. I think they're still escaping from the comics code. Not that
probably still escaping from Dungeons and Dragons Fallout too.
Yeah. Yeah, just perennially like chasing comics have been like the satanic panic and pedophile panic and all that shit has dogged the comics industry since 1950 or thereabouts. Whenever seduction of the innocent happened.
Worth them, yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess it's still here. I mean, and we often encounter artists where we're in the 90s we still get the impression that despite the fact that like all bets are off, they're still self-censoring. So I don't even know if the comics code would have given a shit, but Jim Shooter gave a shit, at least.
This had the twist was fantastic too at the end.
Oh yeah, that is really good.
I think it's why this book sort of came to life there when he tells him that the priest died in his arms.
Yeah, it's a hokey. It is a
skeleton hand reaches for him. Yeah, okay, yeah, I know. There's camp for days, but
sure, yeah. I knew what I had to do. So where does it positions that like? I don't know what comics were like after this, or before this. Sorry, and I don't know what like Ghost Rider comics were like before this, but yeah, it is very EC. Ghost Rider is, and we'll definitely when we talk about the movie, I didn't realize he's basically like the Incredible Hulk. He's like in this iteration of him. He just walks around in this weird leather suit, and every once in a while, when like what sets him off? Where does
people doing bad things and him needing to deliver vengeance to them?
Yeah, so he's the Punisher. He's the Incredible Hulk / Punisher with a skull head.
Yeah, and like let's not downplay this design.
It's fucking great.
Clearly, character designs at this time for Marvel were tremendously difficult for everyone on staff. Mm. Nobody could fashion a character that didn't look absolutely ridiculous or mental in any way, shape, or form. So whenever they pulled off a good design, it was rare. So this is fantastic for them at this time, like, or whatever, whenever Ghost Rider initially, probably 70s. Yeah. So it's like, but I mean, like, think about what the Hulk and the Fantastic Four looked like at that time. Like, these guys were hurting. Like, so whoever invented this, kudos,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I can't think of who it was. I think it's like, shit. It's not coming to me. Yeah.
They probably fired him and embezzled his creator.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Right?
Suck it, Stan Lee in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up while we're talking. It's
Yeah, I spoke negatively about Stan Lee.
Fuck Stan Lee. I'll talk negatively about Stan Lee all fucking day. This is a safe space for that behavior. Gary Friedrich, Mike Plug. A household name, Mike Plug. He designed him. I think so anyway. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck Stan Lee. So but I like, okay, so you tell that first story, and it's a stupid. Here's what I liked about the Ghost Rider in that original story. He's insane. he's fucking out of his mind. He's just laughing at everything all the time. Like,
he's laughing. He's swinging the fucking altar around.
Oh yeah, he's pleased as punch. He's like, you cannot crush the spirit of vengeance. Ha ha! What a supreme jest! There's a Ghost Rider upholding an artifact of the holy, and then he puts it down nicely.
He's so fucking merry. Like, I love this that page where he first turns into Ghost Rider, and then he's busting through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. He just looks like he's frolicking.
Yeah, it's insane.
And I know this is not the time, but you have to feel that Nicolas Cage was right on brand.
You know what? I didn't think about that, but honestly, I hate his performance, but you're right. It actually is. It's like he knows the comics better than anybody.
Wait a minute. No, I don't think the Ghost Rider. Okay, well, actually, the Ghost Rider in the Ghost Rider movie, and I guess we'll turn our full attention to it in a second, is not jolly. He's very Incredible Hulky. Like Johnny Blaze, we don't actually know Johnny Blaze from the story that we just told, other than like his background. But Johnny Blaze isn't insane. Although maybe he is for summoning the devil for no good fucking reason.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze. Okay, there is a Johnny Blaze issue here, and the main issue is that he doesn't have a personality. He's just like a guy that does stuff. I'm a stunt guy in a show. The only thing I have is I read fucking Satan books, and I work on engines, and there's a babe that's interested in me. That there isn't actually like a personality.
Well,
there probably isn't, but we don't know we can't confirm that because we only read this like flashback story. But
you should be able to confirm. If someone has personality,
you should
would be ideal. Yeah.
He's a fucking lunatic the whole way through, though, because like his origin, like his mom is some kind of dirtbag, like fucks off. Then his dad is a stuntman who like cheated death one too many times and dies early. Then he gets this like foster circus family who's like just like, oh, you can go live in a foster home, Johnny, or you can stay with us. And he's like completely indecisive until this girl's like, yes, but please, Daddy, let Johnny stay with us. And he's like, okay,
and he's just like totally in love. Yeah.
But he's not at first. He's just sort of like, oh, whatever. Who gives a fuck?
Oh, I took it that he was immediately in love. He was just like, oh.
Well, maybe he had a crush for a while. And then they like.
She's definitely in love. She's like,
he ends up killing his second foster mom because he like has the guilt of it. Like he crashes his motorcycle and she runs to him as his motorcycle explodes.
Yeah, that's that classic like Marvel character has to have tragic backstory kind of thing. Like it's practically a Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Right down to his. Well, actually, maybe that doesn't quite fit.
Yeah, it's not it's not the same, but it's that Marvel thing. Our heroes have tragedy behind them. You understand what drives them.
Yeah, that's why you got to summon the devil to save your sort of like your foster dad who treats you with like contempt, like because like you have trauma over not wanting to do the stunts because like you've killed people, you've seen people close to you die and then killed someone and made a vow. But anyway.
Okay, this vow is fucking ridiculous. And I think, but it does get it something about the Ghost Rider that I thought would end up coming up earlier, but maybe might as well just bring it up now. Okay, so he makes a vow to the mom, but for whatever reason he won't disclose it. There's a confidentiality agreement.
He's macho. He's macho. He says.
And so rather than break that vow, what he'll do is enter into another contract relationship. So he's stuck in a contract, and in order to overcome the like to get like not a loophole, but just like I don't know what the fuck he's trying to do in order to do solve a problem that the first contract has created. Essentially, he's like, I'm going to enter into another contract.
That's
this time with the devil. And so it's very like one of the elements that I think is very important to a Ghost Rider story and should somehow be central is, it doesn't need to be a legal thing, of course, but this concept of contract and oath and promise, like the ways in which oath constrains people, either irrationally, from my perspective, always irrationally, or just like, what are the consequences of entering into a promise and not breaking that promise? Because this problem could have easily been solved if he just broke the promise with the dead mom, in order to he refused to do the good thing. And because he refused to do the good thing, he was like, oh, I have to turn to the most evil thing. Like, it's a very weird psychology. And it's at the center of, like, when we talk about how Johnny Blaze doesn't have a personality, it's just like, he's not really an agent. Like, he doesn't understand what to do with anything. And he's, like, the only thing we know about him is that he just gets hung up on rules that he creates for himself for no particular fucking reason. And then, like, in order to solve these things, just like, I need more rules.
That is true. And in fact, like, plays out in that, like, his girlfriend is like, as the devil's like taking his soul, she runs in with the occult books and is like, no, like, here's some spells that you didn't know about and go away. And he's like, holy shit, I never thought about using the spells differently to stop the devil.
There's also oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
No. I
was gonna say, there's also something kind of nonsensical about this thing that happened with the devil. It's like, he traded his soul for the devil to the devil. The devil duped him, killed his dad anyway. Fair enough. That's gonna happen to you every time. But then what? He gives him powers that he can use any way he pleases? Doesn't fucking make a lick of sense. And then he just does what the devil likely wouldn't want or need him to do.
That's
and
true.
Then we're just cool with that. Like, it doesn't. There's no repercussions. There's no being stripped of powers. There's no like fucking. It's not even like the fucking matrix of leadership, for God's sake.
Yeah,
I think the answer is contained within, like, this. Okay, so in these early stories, so we're maybe there was explanations for these things in the early comics. Like, we're reading issue 68. I suspect some of this got touched at some point, but maybe not. But according to this story, so heaven help anyone who crosses him, because he'll trap him in a ring of fire and then wade in after them, which is terrifying. Fire is his element, after all, and bullets go right through him. So basically, he creates a fucking ring of fire around you and stalks you, and then. And the weirdest thing of all, weird is kind of downplaying it there, buddy. He can turn his mystic fire into a cold flame that spares the body but burns the soul. So he's like burning souls for the devil. But I guess what makes Ghost Rider, to the extent that he's heroic, what allows this, we're left to infer, I suppose, is like his girlfriend coming in and casting that counter spell.
Okay, so there's a little wiggle in the
and so he's doing these things, but but he's doing it against evildoers, so he's got like a Punisher vibe,
right?
Or a Morbius, I need to feast, but it's only against the wicked.
This is my absolute favorite part of the next page. Like, that's how the Ghost Rider gets his kicks. He's a cursed spirit of vengeance. The only pleasure he gets is for punishing the guilty. So he's getting off on this. And then
that's how he gets his kicks.
Yeah, once he satisfies his lust for vengeance, he lets me have my body back. So it's a violation. That, like, it's like this thing that happens to him, and then he gets his body back reluctantly.
Which is like it's an Incredible Hulk thing, but it's like a different vibe on it. The Hulk
a pervier
about lust.
Yeah, I guess there's an arguing point that he's collecting evil souls. If you want to go that route with it.
Well, but he's not collecting them, though. Like, he's just causing them to burn in hell and enjoying it.
He's like on a rampage.
Yeah. and then he's had enough, and then he's just like, he comes, and then Johnny Blaze gets to, and so yeah, like getting back to the complex psychology thing, like, and the Incredible Hulk comparison, like in a lot of ways, like, is this Johnny just like sublimating his own like serial killer behavior?
Well, I was just gonna make the Dexter comparison. Like, it's almost like he's like made a decision to turn it on the wicked, and like this, like he's kind of like coming out against this priest
who isn't a priest, and which I like. The setup of that is stupid, but the basic idea, not bad. Like the concept's good, but then like how it got set up is, but I guess that's what you have in 22 pages to just. Did they have 22 pages? Yeah. Bless them for having 22 pages in 1982. Yeah, that's cool. And then like when he tries to escape on a motorcycle, and then Ghost Rider just like speed, like he's spinning around him. I would love to see this character. Like this character, I like this version of the Ghost Rider. The cackling madman who is like plays with his prey, circle of fire,
Yes.
and puts them in hell. That's a Punisher sort of character that is interesting to see. And another thing that I guess I am necessarily going to end up saying throughout the conversation is like the Ghost Rider is not a main character. He's like, he ought to be a sidekick, like not a sidekick, but like someone who shows up and does some fucking crazy shit and then disappears, like, whoa, fucking Ghost Rider showed up. I don't know how compelling this would be month after month.
Oh, speaking of the Ghost Rider showing up, do some crazy shit. Check out the panel after he like traps him on the railway.
Yeah.
The panel where he's going, yeah, and like look at that image.
Oh,
what does that suggest to you?
Yeah, well, it looks like there might be some attack going on there. There might be some violations. Death is too good for the legs. Yeah.
Of course not, fool. Death is too good for the likes of you. It's a full.
Yeah, he does look like.
Yeah.
Looks like he's humping. Looks like
it's a bit of a. Could be a bit of a train track rape scene.
Yeah. Death is too good for that guy. And then because the train's coming by and they're like, that's a phallic image, right? And the next minute, the Wabasha train roars by, its mournful horn, all but rounding out the scream which hangs down the tracks.
Yeah.
The awful wail of the soul on fire. Yeah. I
the
think,
implication.
Yeah, wow. I think so. Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong about that. The train thing, I did think about that, but I didn't think about the image.
I didn't put all that together, but it's real bad now.
So he fucking railroads that guy. And it's, it's fitting for a guy pretending to be a priest.
And they take him out of the ditch and he can't even close his mouth. His soul's been burned from the inside.
Oh man. What on earth happened to this guy? I like that they bothered to put that thought balloon in there. It's so fucking great. And they really don't count because the art sucks so bad.
Wait a sec. What's Johnny say here in the last panel?
I don't know.
Who can say, Sergeant? Greed, hate, fear. A man can have lots of demons locked up inside of him.
Mm-hmm. When that happens, he
was inside of him.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. He's not talking about him. Well, sorry, like I forgot that the cop was asking about the fella that robbed the priest or whatever. Yeah. He's sort of like Anyway, that's a hell of a tale. Okay, so I hate the 1970s. I love the idea of the Ghost Rider's flaming skull and everything, but that high lapel weird 1970s jacket, like I find it very difficult. It's not as if they were making toys or whatever. There's no reason they couldn't redesign this costume over time. They chose not to for a decade, and I find that difficult to accept. I don't think it's great.
I don't know. They made Hulk look like Frankenstein for more than a decade.
Yeah, I suppose so. And then eventually there was some shifts. No, but I think that's an exaggeration. But you're right. I don't know, man. I think the 70s came and went, but maybe we need to think of it as the long 1970s. And maybe in 1982, people thought that this was still fucking hot fire. But I have troubles with it. I don't care for it as a design. 1990s Ghost Rider, on the other hand, timeless classic.
Oh, it's such a good design.
Boy.
Yeah. I love this version of the Ghost Rider, like just like the even the motorcycle and everything. This is maybe it's a sign of the times. I like people born in the year 2000 probably think this looks hokey and stupid as fuck, which is why the Ghost Rider has shifted appearance, like so many times since then. But I think there's a lot going on here. What do we think about the 1990 Ghost Rider? Probably not. Yeah,
I love the image of it. Like the art is great in this. The story sucks, but
yeah, it's pretty trash, isn't it? Yeah. Well, what do you expect from Howard Mackie? Man,
Yeah.
The guy can't even fucking put on his socks. So this comic looks so fucking good for the following reasons. And this comic, like whatever about this comic is worth keeping, is not because of Javier Saltares, who I read an interview with this guy. He was really behind in his penciling and that sort of thing. Like the way I think about it is he's providing layouts for Mark Texeira to finish off. Like it's kind of like a Joe Rubinstein thing. It's kind of like with the original comic. Like you've got these artists who aren't very good, who are getting a good treatment from a good inker. And then you got the colorist, Gregory Wright, colors this bad boy, and fucking it pops. Everything looks great. Story aside, I think this is it's very dense, and I guess it's to the point. Like you get an origin out of it, but you don't.
Oh wait, who's the pervert ninja bad guy? That's the Wall Street dude.
Yeah, Deathwalk.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
what's his name? Deathwalk.
Deathwatch.
I am Deathwatch. I am your death.
Deathwatch. So Deathwatch, I just feel like shouldn't be in this comic book at all. I don't understand what part, he just didn't need to be there, and they just chased a briefcase through the whole fucking thing. And it was so dense and thick, and the art was great. It was great to look at throughout. Yeah. And I was happy to see that the Kingpin made an entry, and that there was like some type of backbone to the reason for all the crime. Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, I didn't need that guy or the ninjas really. And then the rival gangs. It was like, what the fuck? It was very like it reminds me of the Warriors. Like,
yes, good point.
Everybody was like, it was like these guys were the rival gang guys were like they all had like slicked up hair and sunglasses, and they were like paramilitary, and then they were fighting ninjas. It was mental.
Yeah, who are dressed like the Foot pretty much, but like I don't think that they're ever identified as that.
No, they aren't the Foot, but this is even I forget whose interview I was reading, but yeah, the shit was pretty played out. Like the ninjas angle was played out by 1990, but it's still it's Howard Mackie. Like that's going to be my response to any complaint about this book. It's just like,
yeah. It's true. American Ninja just came out. You had to have fucking ninjas. You had no choice.
It didn't come out
80s,
in the
90s. Like, kids love that.
When did American Ninja come out? I feel like we've looked this up in the past. I think it's earlier than we think.
I don't know. We've never reviewed I've never seen American Ninja, but I talk shit about it.
You have never seen it? I've seen American Ninja 1 through 3. I'm certain of it. Because my dad liked those movies, and I guess we got the American Ninja movies. So I was like, fine.
We'll have to circle back to that.
Yeah. Well, coming back, see what kind of like effect that had on me. Yeah, and this book's kind of nothing, right? Aside from the fact that it looks pretty cool. Like the main character, Danny Ketch, the new Ghost Rider, he's a coward and a pussy who hides and finds a magic motorcycle.
Well, yeah, because his his tougher sister like gets shot or some shit in this graveyard where like constant crime happens, so they decide to go check it out. She wants to take pictures, and then as he's like doused in her blood, the motorcycle appears to him because the blood of the innocent's been spilled.
Yeah. So I don't get to. I'm never gonna read the comics after this, and I don't care what anyone says to me. He's hot for his sister. There's an incestuous angle on this.
Wow.
So because when he's holding her hand, like she's lost, like she's in the coma or whatever, and you're the only one I've ever been able to turn to. Please, Barb, I need you.
Wow. I didn't think put that
nice.
together,
You read it that way?
Wow.
Well, at the yeah, I think so. There's something within him that he needs to turn to her about, right? Like maybe let's say it's not incestuous. Something's fucked up within this dude. She's acceptant of it, and he needs her for it. So there's a deep intimacy, at least from his perspective. Who knows what she thinks, right? I think she actually dies in a coma. I don't think she ever comes back.
Yeah, he's just dragging her through a fucking junkyard, and he's gonna hide her in the trunk of a car till things blow over. But she's been hit in the upper lung with a goddamn harpoon.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't have good thinking.
No, he's not really doing what he needs to do. But yeah, I pick up a little incest vibe there. Also, this is a terrible I know what's his name?
Danny?
Is he Johnny Blaze? No,
he's
Danny
not
Ketch.
Johnny
the
Blaze.
New Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze does show up later.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze is a proper. I don't understand why you'd use this guy as a Ghost Rider. It doesn't track.
Yeah, it's like they just got interested in the idea of what if a coward became the Ghost Rider, and kids might.
I mean, I was gonna say maybe that's if I'm a pussy hiding in the graveyard, that I could become the Ghost Rider.
Yeah, but then this comic also wants to be hard. It's weird.
So the editor of this book is Bobby Chase. She also is later. I think she's going to end up also editing The Incredible Hulk, but I think that's probably not for 2 or 3 years. So I don't know if there's a relationship there, but this is a Hulk story again. It's very the Hulk. He's a wiener with a demon inside of him, right? And getting back to the thing, talking to his sister, whatever's inside of him, whether it's greed or hate or lust, but yeah, it's meant to be kind of a Spider-Man story. But what if Spider-Man got bit by some flaming skull, I guess, and he couldn't remember what happened,
This story, it struck me that this was just the shittiest possible version of No Country for Old Men, because you got that briefcase element, gangs coming after him,
right?
No one really knows what's in the case. You're right.
Frankly, that's the greatest review that this comic is ever going to get. It doesn't deserve that review. I love it. The idea of Wall Street being involved with the Ghost Rider, I'm not. It feels also very Frank Miller, because otherwise, why is Kingpin showing up in this, and why are ninjas showing up in this? But you're still sort of stuck with the spirit of vengeance tussling with scum and then working its way up to the upper class somehow.
And then cops, I hate that.
When they're stupid.
Yeah, and the cop people are in, for some reason everyone assumes that the Ghost Rider's wearing a mask in this, or that he's dressed for Halloween. It's his skull is literally on fire. You can't mask that. Yeah,
I don't know what. So maybe it speaks to the hyper reality in which individuals live in the Marvel universe. So do they also think that the Fantastic Four are making it up?
Exactly. They're used to this, just freaks all the time. If you're a cop, it just doesn't make any sense. Personally, I'll talk about this when we. Hopefully when we.
Well, I would to just for a moment humor me. I'd like to extrapolate from that though. What if everyone in the Marvel universe is like that, right? No one believes that any of this supernatural shit's happening. No one believes that Thor fought Galactus on their fucking. Everybody just is in this constant state of denial. I think it would explain a lot in the Marvel universe and explain why people don't freak the fuck out all the time.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And then in all fairness, There are a lot of people that are just fucking dressed up.
Yeah, well, I suppose so.
Hawkeye. I mean, Captain America is a bit on roids, but I mean, like, he's a propaganda machine. So how much of that can I believe?
Yeah. yeah, man. Exactly.
Yeah, you can explain it away. That could be like, yeah, Marvel deniers. It's just like,
I think the whole civilization is built on denial, though. That's
probably
what
true.
I'm putting forward is just like everything's denial.
Well,
And
it's
so
like-
it's all like in a way some sort of like, remember in Zardsky's Daredevil run when they like they cut off the internet or Twitter for like a couple minutes, and so that way they could destroy the fucking city,
that's right.
and they felt that no one would know, like, maybe Zardsky's on the same trip I'm on right now. Maybe I'm on the Zardsky tip right now. Maybe I understand better what he was driving at.
What just came to mind is like how, like, okay, like you're the Catholic Church, and like you have to acknowledge that demons existed at one point, like, and all these miracles happen. But when somebody shows up to your church and is like, oh, like my son's possessed, they're actually like, exorcisms are really like, exorcists are very skeptical, like, because it's bad publicity to really go into that. So maybe it's just that sort of thing. Like all these things happened, like, sure, Hulk took down the city, but it's not happening now. I have to deny that because, like, I gotta, I'm living my life.
Yeah, moving on. Like for a brief period, I had no choice but to accept the thing that was happening to me. I survived it. Now that it's happened, repress. It's, the Hulk's still out there, but I'm just gonna like, it's okay.
And the cops are just a well-honed machine. Like they do this all the time.
Yeah. And so they're just constantly in denial, constantly actively in denial.
All right. I've talked myself into the idea that Mackey's brilliant on that front. So yeah, good.
Okay, well, I'm glad somewhere in the universe, within some sort of consciousness, Mackie gets his recognition as not the. Actually, didn't I gave Mackie some recognition as a good writer of Rogue? Am I wrong about that?
You did. We haven't covered it yet, but you did say that you enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Okay. So, two things: he exists in your fantasy as a good writer, and he wrote a good Rogue once. So that's it. That's all. That's frankly, I'm not giving him any more than that. He can fucking just go fuck off.
The other innovation I think is introduced to the character of Ghost Rider in this is that there's almost a more sadistic quality to him. When he
seems impossible. Given what we said earlier, was what could be more sadistic? Go on.
Well, you got the penance. I think this is the introduction of the penance stare. So, like, the idea, like, you must suffer for the pain that you sought to inflict. The pain felt by thousands of innocent beings. And he's given this ninja a fucking choke job with his chain.
Oh, yeah. I got to find that again. That's pretty fucking hard. You're not wrong about that.
Like page 15 in the that PDF.
Yeah. I'm there. Oh, it's honestly like not given as much emphasis as it ought to. It should have been a full page psychedelic, like, that's one thing that the Ghost Rider movie did, at least, is like try to give visual expression to what the penance stare was. I don't think comics. Again, I haven't read it, and I've barely read any of these comics because like this sucks. But maybe somewhere someone gave it like a visual expression, but I honestly don't think that anyone did. They always make it this thing that happens to someone's eyes, like in a silent panel, which also could be cool, but never is. Yeah. So interesting concept, like fucking poor execution throughout.
Yeah.
I like it though. I'm not sure if it's more sadistic, because it's a different, it's a different way of, like, it's actually kind of a pussy way of, because before he would grab people and burn them. Just cackling. That's why I'm just like, I'm not sure he's more sadistic here. Like, I think this is very watered down, even for the 90s.
I think.
Well, I mean, what about the guy that
he's a connoisseur of pain.
What about the guy in the first book where he didn't stare at him? He took him from behind.
That's right. Yeah. With a low moaning.
That's how Johnny Blaze fucking deals with his victims. Puts the demon inside them.
Yeah, so I guess that should be another element of like, well, we're trying to build like what constitutes a Ghost Rider story. There should probably be an intimation of train rape or something. That should be something built into it. Yeah. Do we got anything else on the 90s?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I really want to emphasize though that this book like looks great. I'd like get rid of all the words and just kind of like, and some of these like spreads, man. When they fire that rocket at Ghost Rider,
thank you. Yes.
Boom, fucking amazing. When the cops are chasing him stupidly on the bridge or whatever, that happens, right? Did I make that up?
No, you're not making that up.
Yeah.
And he drives like right up a wall. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know if he did that in the original comics, but like, it comes off really well. It's paced very, very well.
It struck me what a heat score Ghost Rider would be. Just like you can't operate in this town without just causing a scene and like everyone finding you constantly. Which I don't know. That just kind of sucks. Like in terms of bogging down a story.
Yeah, that's a perfect transition to the Ghost Rider movie, I think. Because like the Ghost Rider in the movie, like he just blows shit up around him all the time as like just no matter where he goes, like windows are breaking, things are popping. He's destroying buildings as he rides up them and stuff.
Yeah, the whole streets, all the pavements getting torn apart, cars are exploding.
Fucking menace.
It's just a absolute nightmare world. Yeah, you're gonna have police, fire, every service in fucking town on that scene.
Oh yeah, you're gonna lose electricity when Ghost Rider comes around, and everyone's just like,
"What cops are emptying clips on him?"
Yeah,
it's a mess.
So James, you were the biggest advocate of this movie for us. Like you found an enjoyment in it. You want to talk about?
Could you explain how you did that?
Can you explain yourself in clear detail? Yes. I think that our two examples. I think you guys have explained it for me with the breakdown of these two comics, because there's so much fucking camp here that if you were to take the source material and you were to say literally, I want to be a manic fucking Johnny Blaze that's just only slightly modernized from 90s or from fucking 80s and 90s to the year 2000, and I'm just gonna be a fucking crazy person. And then I don't know. I feel like Nicolas Cage channeled what he needed to channel to deliver us a Ghost Rider story that was parallel to the original comic source material. I think he fucking did it with a shitty budget, a shitty director, and whatever else.
Shitty CGI.
The worst CGI, yeah. And Peter Fonda Devil, which was fucking awful.
Yeah, I am a little more convinced.
He was a great devil.
No, the only person that thinks he's a great devil is himself, because he's got a boner for himself. He's an idiot, and he sucked.
Wait a minute, Peter Fonda?
Yes.
Wow, that's wild. So you did not like that? You're just like,
I don't appreciate Peter Fonda.
I don't like when Bill shows up in any movies. No thanks.
I don't want him strutting around. He's a fucking nothing burger.
Wow, fascinating. So not even the voice or nothing. Like you're just like completely dismissive of Peter Fonda.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Well, why not? Whatever. I dismiss a lot of it, whatever in my life, right? So it doesn't really matter.
No, it's fine. I don't dismiss Eva Mendes.
Oh, and that's fine, because I don't find her attractive. I don't find her like a very good hottie for this movie.
No, they don't have much chemistry because no one has chemistry with Nick Cage.
So what I love about so I do kind of I think you're overestimating the amount that Nick Cage like had like crafts this movie. Like it's written and directed by some fucking guy.
It's his brainchild, right?
Mark Steven Johnson, who writer of both Grumpy Old Men movies. That blows my mind.
Wow.
I
And he was
fucking
like, you know
love
what?
those movies.
And he was like, you know what? I have a passion project.
He did Daredevil before this. He did. That's why he ended up doing this.
Wow.
He did 2003's Daredevil with Affleck and
Oh
so on and so
God.
forth, which I would love to watch.
Oh,
sometime.
someday we're covering that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been back there since it happened. I own it.
Rightly so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. This is the beginning of the Marvel movie. This is like Nick Cage has got that oiled up physique. Like,
Oh my goodness, yes.
To me,
Fucking
he's the
weird.
birth of the Marvel workout. All of this.
Interesting. Who owned?
Well, maybe him and Ben
2007 film.
Affleck now. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's. I guess we'll have to look at it. It is Marvel Entertainment and somehow in production, but it's one of those like Columbia owns the rights or some shit. Sony Pictures. I don't know. I don't know
They
what
dropped
they
lost the rights right after the second movie, The Spirit of Vengeance.
Okay, all right, and so it reverted back to Marvel. Yeah, so they were just like, I'm gonna let this one go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how deep anyone else dove into this, but the Spirit of Vengeance, the second Ghost Rider movie, apparently was sculpted to be hard R, and Sony got cold feet, and Nick Cage and most of the cast were on board for the hard R, and apparently the script was quite different, and I guess it was much better, and they felt like they had a banger. And then Sony wouldn't pull the trigger on it. They were like, no, fuck that. It's no good for marketing. We need kids. PG-13, baby.
Fascinating. Okay, well maybe that explains why. Like, I know we didn't watch that. Like, it was the one that Chris and I liked more.
Yeah, and I guess that's why it came out funny, because I guess it was built to be. Well, hence there was a lot of gun violence and stuff, a little more in that one.
So a trip down Wikipedia lane revealed that like early production for the first Ghost Rider movie, David S. Goyer wrote a script that had nothing to do with this movie that got produced. Maybe Spirit of Vengeance is like that's the original Ghost Rider script, the one that was going to be used long ago, right? And then
I would love to see that hard R script.
I don't know if Goyer made it hard R. He's not known as a hard R guy, I don't think. But what would that mean exactly? Like,
I mean, I'm assuming he would just butcher people. Like,
yeah,
you'd have to have there has to be graphic violence, usually on human beings,
right?
Like blood and. I don't know, whatever, maybe they'd be sacrificing people at the altar. I don't know if we'd ramp up the Satanism a bit more. You'd have to have like some themes and some violence that would warrant that rating, right? So I don't know. You'd have to really step it up.
Yeah, and what would be the point of doing it with something as fucking stupid as Ghost Rider?
Because they were on the Marvel Knights train at that time. I think there was sort of a.
So this predates Iron Man. Like that's 2008, right? Iron Man set the tone for like what you were going to do with a superhero story at the time. I think this is like I read this original Ghost Rider movie from 2007 as and I keep saying it like Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man. They're trying to put it in that register, and like it doesn't fit there. It like I thought like when the movie opened, I thought about how embarrassed I would be in the audience at a theater. And then when the credits ran at the end, I had that same feeling. I was just like, I don't want to be in this audience. I don't want to hear anyone cheering or fucking clapping or any shit like that. This was an embarrassment, like a PG embarrassment. Saved to an extent by Nicolas Cage, who was actually pretty charming. When surprise, surprise. Like I love that moment because we don't know him very much early on, but like we know he's going to be doing the stunts. I don't like any of that flashback stuff. But when he's standing in the mirror, wearing his like, maybe it's kind of the first time we see him as an adult. They come in and he's like just looking at himself in the mirror, and he like drinks that pot of coffee.
Yes.
It was like, okay, this gets what you're saying, James. Like Johnny Blaze is nuts in this story. The Ghost Rider is just kind of a rampaging skullhead.
Yeah. Johnny Blaze is insane, and he's unbalanced. He's unhinged, and rightly so, because we get this story of like a proper childhood, and then you get the deal with the devil and all that when he's a kid, and then you hit that fucking the crazy train moment where Nick Cage is introduced.
Yeah, I'm about there. Yeah.
And it's just like I'm sorry, but if you're in the theater, if you went to the theater, congratulations. If you're in the theater and you fucking saw it, like I was at home watching that, and I had the TV cranked, and I was so pleased.
No, it's a cool scene.
I don't know. I was like, oh fuck yeah, like let's, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, let me fix what I said earlier. Like I was embarrassed by the beginning and the end, but there were bits in the between, like the crazy train thing, that was pretty cool. It was, but the weird thing about it is that the death of Crash Simpson or whatever, like the dad, it's so fucking dumb. Like so he's flying, he's riding his motorcycle into like a flaming
Hoop
circle, right? And he crashes at the bottom of it. And for whatever reason, like the entire circle is completely broken, and he doesn't look injured at all. He's just laying there, and it just looks like such a badly, like the set design shit the bed. I think that's kind of the problem with this movie, is just I feel that like the entire crew, not just writing, not just like the only person doing a good job in this movie is Nicolas Cage, and to an extent some of the special effects people, but beyond that, like this is a bad production.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I can't get into it.
You know what really offended me is that this movie was flatter than the comic. The comic is more sophisticated. Like it was because the moment where particularly this stood out to me is when he makes the deal with the devil. He I think the pen slips and accidentally like pricks his finger, and then it like splashes on the page. It's like, oh, the deal's all signed, but it just takes away the agency. Like he doesn't make a choice. He doesn't have that insane moment of like, so I summoned the devil.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I did.
Johnny Blaze.
Yeah, whereas in Spirit of Vengeance, there's like, instead of like a dripping of blood, it's like you don't see what happens. It's like he slit his wrist or something. Like the blood that sprays all over the contract. I don't remember him doing anything to produce that blood. I wasn't paying that close attention. Sorry to derail us. I'm watching him like fly over those, not the helicopters yet, but just like 21
That's
trucks or something like that.
I do love that your instinct to being like, okay, like the devil's not going to be done with me. Like I will never escape this, is just to be like, oh, you know what? I can just do whatever stunt I want then, because I'll be fine ultimately.
When he crashes, that was and that like honestly, they're milking whatever possible character you could get out of this. Like, what would this mean if someone, that. So one of the elements about the Ghost Rider story is risk. Risk is an important part of the story. That came out while we were talking, but this movie also wants to position it as, and maybe this is part and parcel, like it's a Western legends Faustian bargain, which was always there. But the motorcycle element and the Evel Knievel bits, that didn't get sold very well, even though like they cut back to the origin. You never felt it. This movie really makes you feel it gives stunt driving, like it's like a NASCAR thing. This guy's like a NASCAR hero, like a motocross hero. It makes it feel more American, I guess, is my thing. Like the risk of being in the West. So that's good. That's a part that we need to add to the Ghost Rider, I think.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like this, and that's why Danny's like a boring Ghost Rider too, because the stunting is a good element.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I don't know if it's a good element, but it is an element, and it could be good. And this movie does the best they can do with it, I think. Yeah. What else we like? There's good things in here. When he jumps over those helicopters.
Yeah, that was good.
I like I don't know, fine. I like the craziness of it. This movie has money, it spends it.
That's true. Villain problems out like galore for this character. Like the Blackheart, especially the guy they cast, just absolute dog shit. Like not threatening at all.
James, where do I know that guy? I know his name's Wes Bentley, and I looked at his Wikipedia, but like I know that guy, and nothing in Wikipedia made me like I was like, oh yeah, that's where I know that guy. But like,
what are you guys
there? I know
there?
that guy.
Sorry, are you guys there?
Yeah,
we're here. Oh,
did I
get
cut out on you? Yeah, I got cut out.
Yeah, so probably for a while.
Yeah, that's the pervert from American Beauty.
Well, I read that, but like I don't know if that's not how I remember him. I don't think
that's how I remember him. He was an incel.
What does he do? What's the pervert?
He was like the bag chaser guy, you know, like.
Oh shit!
He's a creep. And they were like, "Oh, this guy's a creep. Let's have him walk around. He has no fucking personality at all. None of the bad guys have any personality outside of Peter Fonda, who that was pretty soft. And then, like Sam Elliott's great. He can do no wrong."
Yeah, I think it was a weird. The funny thing about Sam Elliott in this one is he seemed really like. I don't know if it was just the way they filmed him, you know, like the way they put his arms or whatever, but they made a point of making him look like muscular in some scenes, and it struck me as weird because he's an older man, and Nicolas Cage, as we were said earlier, like when that scene with him in the mirror, I was like, how do you get muscles like that? Like you haven't drank water for 2 days.
There were rumors that there was CGI his abs.
No, I don't think so. He was wrapped up at that time in his life. He's covered in baby oil, and I mean, like, what's his name does that all the time? George St. Pierre. They do like 3-day water fast.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And you're fucking exhausted on set, and you look amazing.
Yeah. No, that's why fucking what's his nose, Wolverine. He's like a 60-year-old man, and aside the fact, you know, putting aside the fact that he is probably on growth hormone and a bunch of other stuff or whatever. Like they just dehydrate themselves to such an extent that this is what they used to do in the even in the 19th century. They knew about this. You know, if you dehydrate yourself, your muscles are going to become more pronounced. And yeah. So I don't know how you get to look like he didn't look healthy. I was like, that's a lot of muscle, but you look not so good, buddy. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he did. They did make Sam Elliott somehow look bigger than him, also through most of the shooting. Yeah. Like not just like his physical presence seemed to be larger. Like I don't know, it was like almost like the way they were shooting it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sam Elliott's a big fucking guy. Maybe we're off kilter there on that.
Well, I had a lot of thoughts, and like I think maybe that is I think that's indicative of what goes on with this movie, though, because like I just like I shouldn't be thinking these thoughts, right? I should be busy watching your movie, but I just found myself like, I wonder about Sam Elliott. He's 188, 1.88 meters,
6'2". I just looked it up.
6'2".
Okay.
And how tall is Nicolas Cage? Tall. He's 183. Yeah, so he's a tall fella too. Apparently, John Travolta is also. These are all large 6-foot fellas. So yeah, it's not like a height differential, and it's just how they're wearing it. Like I'm looking at them right now. They've put a shirt on him in such a way, and like I really think it's just how they like position him in the lighting and like how they hold his arms is a weird choice. It's not required because it's just his voice that people want.
Yeah, he's the beautiful Western narrator that you guys were alluding to, and that sort of brings that Western vibe into it.
Yeah.
You know, the riders, you know,
which is kind
there's
of
like I said, there's so much camp. It's so fucking cheesy, but there's something brazen about all of it. Like, it's so purposeful and it's fucking cheese.
Yeah, I think it doesn't find you're not. I think you're right. I think that makes it maybe something that some, you know, like maybe it ends up being a cult classic as a consequence. What
Maybe
it
not.
feels like, what it feels like to me is like they went head on, but
Didn't
so I'm
achieve
watching.
it.
So I'm watching the interview with that like sort of chubby goth girl, and
Eva Mendes?
no. No, she's doing the interview. Eva Mendes is doing the interview with that
Oh,
goth girl.
yeah, her, yeah. She's a comedian.
Yeah.
She's funny.
Yeah, but she's not, you know, like, but it's, I don't know what the tone is of this fucking movie. I don't know what it's doing. Like, there's no unity of purpose. And, like, you can't say, sometimes when people set out to do a B movie, I'm going to shout out to M. Night Shyamalan, right? He sets out to do, he does, unless it's The Happening, like, he'll set out to do a B movie, and he'll make a purposeful B movie that is corny and still has like shit going on. This movie is just shit. This movie is just shit going on.
Just a shit show. Yeah, I see what you
Yeah.
mean, because it seems like they went head on with the camp, but then also kept a serious undertone and didn't pull off something that had potential for me to sort of giggle with delight at the sort of hilarity and madness of it throughout the whole movie. It's like they had the pieces they needed to do that, and then they didn't do that.
I think you guys are absolutely like nailing it, because there's the undertone, the villain itself, like trying to like take over hell. It's got such an epic sweep. You've got the count, the whatever the contract where was it like 1,000 evil souls? Like, it's just very, it's all very serious. But then like Nicolas Cage is just going in his own direction, and like that's fine. I think he adds whatever enjoyment can be wrung out of the movie, but the tones definitely clash.
I like the resolution's pretty good. Okay, so here's a problem.
Yeah, I didn't mind that.
Yeah, the problem that I have is that like Nicolas Cage doesn't come off as like wily or clever. Like, he's not fine. He reads all those books, but you don't feel that he's. This movie was originally one of the original people thinking of playing it, according to the old Wikipedia, is Johnny Depp, and I'm thinking of the Ninth Gate or whatever. I think that like if Johnny Depp played Johnny Blaze, I think the movie would have been still so fucking stupid, but I think like it would have felt more like he was a trickster at the end, when because he goes to so the Sam Elliott's like, oh, it's gonna be really bad or whatever, and Johnny Blaze is like, don't worry, I've got a plan, and you're like, I don't know what your plan is, buddy. Like, I don't get it. And his plan is to like, okay, fine, he's already thought ahead, like, I'm gonna let this guy get the souls. When the souls get inside of him, he'll have a soul so I can use the penance stare. Checkmate. But like, I just don't feel that Johnny Storm's like thinking at all. Right? He's not planning. There's no planning in this movie, and so you're just like, why do I have to think? When he says like, I'll figure it out or whatever, like, I have no reason to think that that's true. And so what ends up happening just feels like just script rather than character. Put me off.
Agreed.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
No.
You guys are going to like this. According to an interview that he gave the New York Times in 2010, this movie was made in the middle of Wes Bentley, who's the pervert from that whatever American Beauty, during Wes Bentley's decade-long extremely serious addiction to cocaine and heroin. He said in the interview he only accepted any movie roles during that time so that he would have money to buy drugs.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
I don't know if that makes the movie better or worse. Like it doesn't I don't know. It doesn't explain anything, though.
And it doesn't excuse his role, I guess. I don't.
It explains the absolute lack of charisma or menace or anything that he's delivering in that role. So I'll buy that.
He doesn't have the face for it, though. It's like the casting. The casting director ought to be shot in the fucking head.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah, Eva Mendes is not like fine, whatever. There's nothing wrong with her in principle other than you thought that she was going to get along with Nicolas Cage. I don't know who Nicolas Cage kisses, but it's not her.
Yeah, and she's so much younger. Like, it's just so hard to believe that they grew up together. And there's no chemistry. I don't believe them as a couple at all.
That's funny. I never thought about the fact that there's actual like age weirdness between the two of them. That's not where it lands for me. It's just like I don't think that anybody could kiss Nicolas Cage. He doesn't.
Not seriously.
Yeah, well, why not? Like, if you want to have sex with a movie star, fine. You know, I don't blame you, ladies, but
those abs.
I guess so. Them abs.
Nicolas Cage's hairpiece took 3 hours to apply every day.
What are you talking about? The hairpiece?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, you're right. Because he's kind of has. I'm looking at it like you see, his hair's not normally like that, is it?
No.
That took 3 hours.
Apparently.
That's fucking insane. I'm looking at it right now. He doesn't look any different, and not in a good way. Like now that you've said it.
I don't wonder how much that costs in the budget.
Yeah. This is why this movie didn't spawn the Marvel. Like, imagine, okay, if we're going to do a what if this movie spawned the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Oh, no.
What if it did?
Know. Yeah. You think this is the Faustian bargain? You think this is like the dramatic representation of Marvel just sucking at the teat of Mephistopheles in order to destroy all culture?
Yeah, and they saved our dad from cancer and gave us the Infinity Saga, and then now we're getting betrayed. Shang-Chi is in the house, fucking Eternals, and it's all said and done. The betrayal's complete.
And so this gets to another element of a Ghost Rider story that has to include a monkey's paw element. Like, it's so fucking dumb. I'll save him from the disease, and you're just like, okay,
monkey's paw.
The turkey's a little dry. Fucking stupid.
I like
but I
that
guess
twist,
it's got to be part of it. Okay, well, I'm glad.
But it was pulled off. I think it was again pulled off better in the comic.
Yeah.
In the comic, it's like his dad despairs because he's like, Johnny Blaze doesn't tell him that he's cured. So he's like, well, fuck, I'm dying. I better make this the best stunt I've ever done. And that's what leads him to like die in the process.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. If Johnny Blaze would just open his mouth, and communicate.
He's too macho.
Yeah, it's that macho thing.
Yeah.
And again, the Western macho thing. Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the element too.
But I don't know like at the end of the day though, okay, so fine. These are all the elements of a Ghost Rider story. Like what fuck
makes a good one?
Yeah, I don't think there is one. Like that's kind of where I landed. I was just like, this guy you were gonna
Pure Vengeance was like honestly, like, I'm not saying it's a good movie, like, but it has good instincts. Like it gets rid of police. It gets rid of like these sorts of like stunt elements. It just kind of puts him on this plane where the stakes are pretty epic. Sure, they rip off Terminator 2 like whole scale. Like that is the entire plot of the movie, with Nick Cage trying to be a father figure and teaching a kid how to piss fire or whatever. But it's it just like it goes for the like the sort of darkness, the element, the visual flair. Like there's that scene where he's like purging the ghost and like he's vomiting out these chains. It's like that's fucking weird and cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I do like, in comparison to what we see in this Ghost Rider movie, like it is a much more visually interesting movie. And the stakes were much higher.
Yeah. And I think that's critical for like, that's where you want to go. Like not to like some sort of like Spawn sort of level, but you want to touch on the supernatural and epic force. Or if you're going to do a police story, do a police story where he's antagonizing the cop, like the dirty cops, and he's like bringing like the wrath of the Penance-Stare onto some corrupt, like just like really overturning the city.
Yeah, but even that's going to be dumb, because you're going to have like, you have to have someone like when there's demons and blah, 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 and he can't deal with the cops. Doesn't make any sense.
You're going to
like
end up in Spawn territory.
Yeah. And like Spawn is Ghost Rider, right? Like that's why Spawn is as shitty as it is, because it's just like,
chains,
what if Spider-Man was Ghost Rider and the Punisher and a Special Forces guy, you know, like it just and. But yeah, I don't know what, because like when Ghost Rider ends up in this movie, when he ends up in that prison with those other criminals or whatever, he just hulks out, man. He's just like a guy who hulks out, beats people up, says some fucking quippy business, and like drives off. And like the only good thing about this movie is Nicolas Cage, and like Nicolas Cage is not the Ghost Rider. Like they didn't do some sort of CGI thing, or like Golem. They didn't do a Golem thing. So he's completely a creation of just like computers, and it feels like it.
Oh, wait a sec. Are you talking about the Spirit of Vengeance?
No, the first one.
Oh, the first one. Yeah, he's all CGI. Spirit of Vengeance, not so much.
Oh, really?
As you saw by my glorious photo that I shared.
Right.
Where he was putting that, I guess they said he showed up with this fucking skull makeup on.
Oh, that was on Spirit of Vengeance. Interesting.
Yeah. And that was what I guess he showed up on set with that shit on. And he had these like lights around his head to simulate this fire. I don't know. They're like little LEDs, and then he would like just go nuts with his acting on the fucking set, and I guess all the other fucking actors were really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Like that movie gave Nicolas Cage an opportunity to really, like, when he goes crazy, turning into the Ghost Rider, you're like, okay, that's when he's actually that's when he's really channeling the comic to the extent that he can.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I have one pitch.
You have a pitch. All right, give it to me, because I really don't have one.
Okay, Ghost Rider. Okay. So prime for the Marvel Rainbow Age treatment. Like, why has there never been a female Ghost Rider? And like in this age, give Ghost Rider to like some up and coming female creator.
Okay.
Make it a woman, and just like let her like vent about everything in the world, and like what does vengeance look like from that perspective? And I think that could be interesting.
Here's the comparisons. I haven't watched that new She-Hulk. No, it's not even new at this point, but like I remember all the memes about the She-Hulk thing.
Yeah, sure.
Which were like they do this thing where like Bruce Banner's just like, I was abused by my family, and and he's talking about all these horrible things that happened to him, and then she's like, every time a man didn't do this, you know, like it just turned into like a feminist screed kind of thing, and I was like, and again, never watched the fucking show, but if that is the comparison, like if it is like her She-Hulkness was a consequence of like the patriarchy, I fear that Ghost Rider might end up being kind of the same thing if that's the angle that's taken.
That's not so good. However, I'm gonna raise you. You guys haven't seen it yet. Blue-Eyed Samurai. Watch it. and then like that, the tone, it's like Kill Bill-ish. Like that's the kind of tone you want to do.
Can you do that with
fair.
Ghost Rider? Can you do that?
What would a woman make a deal with the devil for?
Well, it's got to be to save the life of someone. You know,
The
like
same thing.
Yeah, we don't have to
The
change
same thing.
Yeah. What do you want? You want just like I
don't know.
Make a deal with the devil in order to have a baby? I don't like that's.
Oh my god.
Well, that's going to be a totally very different. And then the baby dies.
I think that's Rosemary's Baby.
How much feminism do you want to make it bring into it? And then you could fridge it, and then
But that's what would have to happen in that concept. Yeah. That would be it. The baby would be born, it would die, and it's like, you did have a baby, just like we agreed. And you're like, I'm the spirit of vengeance.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.